There are roughly 119,740,000 kilometers between the planets Venus and Mars.
Somewhere in the middle lies Earth.
That's one small step for man,
Omnibus.
That's a gaslighter.
Love bombing.
Narcissist. Homemaker.
Deal breaker.
one giant leap for mankind.
If he wanted to, he would.
5 signs of avoidant attachment.
You wouldn't consider men and women equal.
is broken.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Join us in the space between Venus and Mars. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the space between Venus and Mars. I'm Jessie.
I'm Chris.
So, Chris, I remember watching Don't Worry, Darling several years ago in the theaters, directed by Olivia Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this whole thing. Harry Styles is in it.
Mm-hmm.
This was the movie where at Cannes, they thought that Chris Pine had spit on him.
Yes.
That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Spitgate. Completely unrelated to the episode today. But I do remember watching this movie and being in a completely different headspace of my life and seeing Florence Pugh do all that cleaning and cooking for her husband and just this fabulous life where all you're responsible for is just waiting for your husband to come home from work, and all you have to be responsible for is just upkeeping the home and doing this like mindless labor.
Mm-hmm.
Or what seems to be the illusion of mindless labor. And I remember being like, wow, seems pretty great to just be doing that and nothing else.
Sure. In theory.
In theory. And then later on, I was actually rewatching the movie not that long ago, and I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. But also, I get it.
Mm.
The point is, I blabbed on too much. Today, we're talking about tradwives. And for people that don't know what that means, that is a shorthand term for traditional wife.
Yes. I did not know that until very recently.
Oh, what did you think it meant?
I don't know. I thought it was like another, like, I don't know, like an offshoot of like a Chad man or something like that. I don't know where I was.
Like from. Chad being like a hot guy on the internet.
Sure, or like the alpha males being referred to as Chads. So I thought that the trad wife was like the Chad equivalent for females or something like that. But
I see.
Yes, it makes sense that it would be standing for traditional wife when you
the beginning of the word.
Yeah.
Right. We'd save so much time saying
Checks
trad
out.
versus traditional.
Yes, of course. But also, I mean, that's part of, I think, what it's trying to do, right? Which is trying to reinvent the wheel and recontextualize and present this old idea in some new way that makes it somehow trendy. And like tradwives, I feel like have gotten particularly big on like social media through reels and stuff like that, where people present a curated version of like what a day in their life is like.
Yeah, and I think that the allusion to you have most popular creator is Nara Smith.
Yeah, and that was the first time I had seen anything with a tradwife, and so my first exposure to it was like well, my kids wanted cookies today, and I didn't want to get Toll House, so I spent 6 hours beating this dough.
I got the
from
cacao.
scratch.
I got the cacao seeds, fermented them myself, and made chocolate chips from scratch.
Yeah.
Right. But what's interesting about Nara Smith too is that she's a racially ambiguous woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that even in her presentation, she's repackaged. I mean, is that off? Like, you know what I mean? Like when I think of tradwives, I think of like 1950s white woman.
Right.
And here she is in like a silk. Most of the time she's like wearing like some satin sort of dress that's like fitted, or and she's got like this short hair.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like set in the same way that Don't Worry, Darling is like set in this like idealized version of America, which honestly we have talked about before on this show too. We spoke about suburbia, American suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it is interesting that like she is kind of the face of this tradwife kind of symbol when it's like the TikTok quick version of it, and she is a non-white modernized woman, if that makes sense. Like her kitchen is like, more Scandinavian looking.
Sure.
It's just not like this retro thing.
It's not fully leaning into the aesthetics
And it's not right.
of the 50s.
It's not fully leaning into the aesthetics, and it's not fully, there's nothing inherently political about it. I mean, other than her talking about like her children and her husband, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, my first exposure, I kind of was like, oh, are these just like super crunchy granola people? Because I was under the impression that it was just like the whole thing was just like, I want to keep, food dyes away from them, and I want to, go all organic on everything. And that was sort of like what my first impression of a tradwife was like just a super attempting to be as down to earth pioneer woman as you can be, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like she doesn't give pioneer. She doesn't give fundamentalist, religious. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there isn't any. It's not giving the sheen of oppression. It's not giving the like Nora Smith doesn't feel that way to me. She doesn't feel that. I don't see an oppressed woman. It feels like by choice she's
right
grinding the cacao leaves, and you know what I mean, or the cacao beans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that this tradwife lifestyle for many people who are kind of stuck in it, who aren't choosing it, are kind of in more repressed Christian cultures, from what I understand it, from doing kind of some of my research. Yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay.
I feel that tradwife, or this idea of being a tradwife, is like the pinnacle of gender performance in the patriarchy. Like if we're talking about gender as a performative act, right? Like if I'm performing, if I think that like my femininity is something to be performed, I feel like tradwife is a way to perform it. I think of like a few years ago, there was like this, and maybe it was my algorithm. Like I kept seeing these quizzes that were like, what sort of femininity are you? Like find your, are you dark feminine? Are you like sitting in your feminine? Like, are you a seductress? Are you like exploring different sides of your femininity?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking like, well, that's a very interesting, like what type of feminine am I? Is understanding the different type of feminine that I am, or like how I can use my femininity. Is that a way for me to like attract more men or whatever? In the same way that I think that men don't realize how them like going to the gym and getting buff and like that's them performing their masculinity as well. I feel like tradwifery. So is that the right way to say it?
Definitely.
Tradwifery. Like I feel like that's like like the pinnacle of women gender performance. It's almost like in the documentary Paris is Burning, where it's like they have the awards for like who is the realist.
Right.
Like I feel like if it's like who is the realist woman award would go to like, if I'm thinking about gender performance, would be like tradwives under the patriarchy, of course.
Right.
If we're performing gender.
Yes. I guess I'd agree. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, and again, I think that that's why it's been its most successful, not really in application, as I guess we'll kind of get into later, but like it more is at its peak in like these curated reels that sell it as an idea more than anything. It's performative in the sense of you have to kind of achieve for someone's expectations here, that being, I guess, the patriarchal structure.
Yeah. I think it's sort of like in the way that I think the TikTok girls are doing it.
Mm,
It is in that way of like gender performance, like ultimate.
sure.
I think that obviously in the ways that women find themselves in a traditional household without necessarily consenting to it wholly or understanding what that means, obviously that's not performance. That's, for lack of a better term, like gender imprisonment.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. um but I think even just going back to like me even watching Don't Worry Darling and being like, oh wow, like wouldn't it be so cool to just not use my brain and cook and clean all day, which you do have to use your brain for those things first of all.
Right.
But just like this idea of liberating myself from the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you go down that same line of thinking, then you're just being used to like do unpaid labor.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
I've removed myself from the workforce that compensates me with dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember, I think it was in one of our first episodes that we were talking about like being a homemaker, being a career.
Right.
I wonder like where is the difference between a tradwife and like a stay-at-home mom? Yeah.
Yeah. I really do want to think about this a little bit more because I don't know. And you know, when I was talking about this with you in the prep of this episode, like would Claire Dunphy from Modern Family, that is not a tradwife, right? Or I wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's someone who, right? But she was a stay-at-home mom.
Is it the performative aspect that makes it tradwife?
In terms of like on the TikTok sphere of things.
I guess. I don't know. Like, do you have to be an influencer in order for you to count as a tradwife, or?
That's a good question. When I was prepping for this episode, I came across a Reddit thread called r/tradwives. And basically I came across this post and it was like, my dream life is to be a tradwife to my partner, to be a homemaker and the best wife and best friend I can be for him, to make a house a home and to make it full of love and tranquility and happiness, make it a place that he can't wait to come home to. This is advice for the future when our dream life could be a possibility. If you have any cooking / baking / gardening / cleaning / wife / life advice for me, that'd be amazing. I don't have any parents or family to ask this advice, and this seems like a really welcoming community to people who are in the life or want to be. So I just thought I'd ask advice to people who do live my dream life. So I don't think it's just influencers. Like I think there are real life women who are serious people who want to live this lifestyle, who want to be this more traditional role of a wife and be a homemaker.
Yeah. I feel like they see it as a kind of transactional ticket out of their current circumstance in some ways, as far as like
Yeah.
something that they can learn skill wise that then gives them a way out of, I think, which is what I think it's kind of selling to women, is like getting out of the rat race of like capitalism and like needing to earn everything on your own, I guess. And it definitely feels like a rebuke of modern feminism in that way.
Well, I mean, this person says, be best wife and best friend I can be to him. So, I mean, it implies that there is some sort of like, you know, reciprocity. Like this person just doesn't want to be like a Stepford wife, you know? They want to be in a union that has reciprocity. I think they just want to be a good homekeeper.
Well, yeah. I think any one going into it probably feels like it's not as one-sided, but I think the
Right.
reality is
Right.
that you end up bumping up against these kind of boundaries within a lot of those tradwife relationships that then kind of strip away at your agency as an individual. At least from what I was hearing and reading,
Mm-hmm.
looking at things.
Yeah. You know what? I just do find interesting though that it's like all independence is tied to financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, okay, it strips away at your agency because you're not making any money. I'm just like food for thought,
Sure.
you know?
I think that's the problem with, I guess, the system, man, is that you only gain independence through financial, freedom, right? I mean, I don't know.
Right. Well,
What is the way around that within
well,
modern society?
well, I'm just thinking like, I think that tradwifery is glorified because I think that a lot of women who do find themselves in it without kind of understanding what that is
Mm-hmm.
or have kind of grown up in that where it's super heavily patriarchal. But I mean, there is a power of being kind of the keeper of the home, so to speak. Like if you are, I think about sort of the responsibility of the nutrition of your family. I think about that show that Brie Larson was in, the scientist cooking show.
Lessons in chemistry.
Lessons in Chemistry, where she was a chemist and then she became, charge of the, she ran her own cooking show and all that. And I remember one of the lines is like, moms are really busy and then they're in charge of like feeding their whole family. That's actually a serious task,
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
Yeah.
like you're in charge of your family getting the right amount of like calories and nutrition and healthy, sustainable, all that stuff, and under budget,
Right.
So there's a lot of like making sure you're in charge of the appointments and mostly the kids, like your like child rearing, like heavily is responsible on mothers and keeping the home clean and making sure the environment is like safe and clean for children and or just the members of the household, whether that's just wife, husband, and doggies or cats or whatever. Like, I feel like most of the cleaning does go to the woman and / wife. And I feel like that person's gone can kind of create chaos and dysfunction. So I think that there is, in terms of like the family unit, there is a lot of like agency and power that comes with the role of mom, tradwife, or not tradwife, but like forget wife. Say we take out the role of mom or gender, like the person who is in charge of kind of more homemaking in the family,
Sure.
the homemaker. They hold the keys to like, where are the clean socks? Where are the clean this? Where's this? Where'd you leave this? Where's my homework? Where's my permission slip? When's my dentist's appointment? When's like whatever, like when's this person's birthday? I got a napkin in an extra napkin in my my lunchbox. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's power in that.
Yeah.
What is it? Terry Real always says, like, the feminine is always idealized, but then in reality, we always choose the masculine or something like that. So it's like, in theory, it's like we idealize the person who, is in charge of more of the caretaking in the home. But then in practice, it's like, well, it's really the one who brings home the money. And that's the system, man.
Yeah. No, I agree that like money shouldn't be important, but
and
these are the cards we're dealt. And unfortunately,
right, says the man. No, I hear you.
I think the tough part of I think the discussion of division of labor in the household and stuff like that now in modern relationships is because it's not a clear role of like one being the one staying at home or whatever. You'll never have to like argue about this thing or that thing because it's all laid out here right at the top, like before you're getting into it of like what's expected of you, yada, yada, yada.
This is just such a spitball thought, but like I wonder if some of these men that are kind of pushing more of this tradwife agenda, who are like, I want my woman to cook and clean and I want my girlfriend to stay at home and all this stuff, like, I don't know. I think they're just realizing they're like, I don't ever want to do it. So let's glorify the tradwife so that I don't ever have to do that work. My generations of men did not teach me how to do this work.
Sure.
I don't want to pick up and now learn how to make a grocery list, do the weeknight meals, whatever, all this stuff, keeping track of all this scheduling and whatever. So I'm going to really be insistent that and only accept nothing less than someone who wants to do the traditional work of being the homemaker. And if I have to do it, that means my manhood being robbed from me, like being stolen from me. This is a thought. I don't know. I don't have any friends who are men who have this thought. My reference is only from what I hear, from the things that I seek out to understand sort of why this would be attractive to someone.
The thing that's definitely fueling it is like a fantasy for the men, I think, for sure. I mean, and this is definitely what, Nara Smith is selling as far as like, you come home from a long day at work and like your wife is in like this beautiful gown while she's finishing up dinner and like she's like, it's presentational. It's building on this whole kind of possessiveness also of like you keeping them almost like locked away in the tower. I think there's a lot of stuff built into it that's very...
Yeah, it is sort of fantastical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's like that whole thing of like the idea of the 50s suburb that everyone still feel like we have to go back to obviously didn't exist. Like it just was like, it was all mirage and mirrors, of course, because there's all of this other stuff on the underbelly of it all.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like 5% of people that were actually living whatever that life was that was being sold. An easy answer is always going to sell better, I think, to people, as far as like the answer is just keep the lines super strict.
Yeah.
And
then
don't cross them.
Right. Perform the ritual, do the performance, dissociate from yourself. Oof. These men that are like really sucked into like wanting this tradwife image, they're not viewing women as like people that can be like that. I think for them, they're just like, oh, well, that's just what they want to do. Like, these are just the roles. Like, I don't think it occurs to them that they are feeling oppressed or there is some sort of imprisonment. I think they just assume that like women just want to do this because they're consenting. They're just like, because they're in this role, like that's just how it is. And like, I don't think they can imagine themselves in the mind of a woman necessarily. I don't think that's the default in the system of the patriarchy to like be empathetic. I don't think the patriarchy encourages empathy in men in the same way that it does for women.
Sure. Yeah.
And then it's like on the flip side, and then you have women who are like, well, men can just do more housework. It's as simple as that. But it's like men don't have any institutional knowledge of like housekeeping, of homekeeping.
What do you mean by institutional?
I mean, like, I guess I don't know, but in my culture, I'm of South American descent, Hispanic, Latino culture, like, there is the trope of, the sons don't do anything. Not that they don't do anything, but they're just like the eldest son, like, it's like, oh, the boy is like the princes, like whatever. Like my mom was just telling me today how like apparently there are like women who, they just like sons who don't get married off and they just stay living with their mom, and their mom just like cooks and cleans for them till like forever, and it's the eldest daughter, like the eldest daughter thing. It's like the daughters are taught to do everything and like take care of everything and like, whatever. I have friends that just, they have even though they have older brothers, it's like the burden of the eldest daughter is like weighs very heavy on them. They're in charge of like taking care of the parents and whatever. And I just feel like, yeah, like, are we teaching men the same skills, like how to take care of themselves in the same way that we teach young women to take care of themselves? And the way that we teach young women to take care of themselves is also a gateway to being a homekeeper, whereas like the way we teach men to take care of themselves, I don't know how we do it because I didn't see that growing up. But I can only
Sure.
imagine it's not to be a homekeeper.
Well, I mean, it really just, it depends on your context. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not going to say that like I was put on like a strong regimen of like cooking lessons and stuff like that. That's never been my strong suit, really.
Okay.
But, like there was just, I don't know if it's a me thing or a general thing, but I was always just like, how can I help around the house? So I'd like figure out what can I do to keep things together. And like, I would
Okay.
like lean into the curiosity of that and be like,
Okay.
what can I do to help? And then like, and then I would, I don't know, clean the floors or mow the lawn or whatever. all
Wow,
that
you're
shit.
such a good son. You liked doing chores?
Did I like doing it? I don't know if I liked it, but it was just one of those things that just kind of, happens when it's just like, I don't know. Again, like this is getting into a bunch of stuff of just like circumstance and stuff too, of like after my parents divorced and like
Mm-hmm.
I just, my mom was out of the house working a lot of the time, or like my sister had soccer practice. So there's just like only so much time in the day. And so like, how do you make ends meet other than helping to fill in those gaps and like
Right.
to keep the house together? And I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not saying this in a way of like,
No,
I get brownie
no.
points or something like that. I'm just saying it. I think that that's a reality. I think for a lot of households, and maybe that's not true for like my gender in general, but
Yeah.
like that's just kind of like part of how I guess I gained that knowledge, if it was knowledge. But like
Right.
to me, I guess when you talk about that stuff, I guess I don't know if there was too much as far as like knowledge passed down, even in the sense of like the dad or mom really passing that stuff down. But I mean, I just kind of like, it felt like it was just kind of like figuring stuff out as you go along and just like letting you fill in the
Oh.
gaps.
Okay. I was partly raised by my grandma
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
because my parents worked a lot. So my grandma was the one who was like, basically I came home from school and she like had food ready for us.
Mm-hmm.
And she did all of my laundry till I was pretty old.
Mm-hmm.
I was, in that sense, like I can see how me and my sister got a lot of princess treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was always like, you have to learn how to clean this bathroom. You have to learn how to whatever. It wasn't specifically in the name of being a good wife or mother, although
Sure.
that was always definitely implied.
Sure.
For sure, it was implied.
It's just like that thing of like, well, this is going to come in handy one day, you know?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It was, my grandma was a lot more heavy-handed than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was, and my mom is not like my parents are not neat freaks. Like we're not like whatever. I definitely didn't grow up that strict where it was like, it's Saturday morning, wake up, we're cleaning. Cause I do know friends that was the vibe. And I was very grateful that I didn't grow up because I think my parents worked so hard during the weeks. On the weekends, like we did do fun stuff.
Sure.
But definitely like doing chores was like, you had to learn, especially like it's me and my sister, double girls. Like you have to know how to be clean, because who's gonna want you if you don't know how to be clean? Yeah, that was definitely drilled in me for sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Nobody wants a messy girl.
I mean, I think that stuff always is part of the early learning, where there is the implied stuff of like, yeah, and I guess this will come in handy for something later down the line, or
Yeah.
or like, no wife's gonna want a husband who only can cook TV dinners or something like that.
Oh, your mom would say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
yeah.
I don't know.
I just wish it was framed more like, and my grandma sometimes did do a good job of this on occasion. Like, okay, you want to know how to like clean for yourself and cook for yourself.
Well, yeah, that's
Right.
like the whole thing is like, again, of like that, like they were all raised within that structure. So the only way they know how to teach is also through that structure.
Right.
Which is why, yeah.
Give
you
them a little
kinda-
grace, why don't you?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard to see outside of yourself in those moments,
Yeah, that's true.
and be like, just like, right, you're gonna go to college and you're gonna have to fend for yourself. So you should learn how to just flip a chicken breast around,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Make sure you're not eating raw chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
Cook rice, put rice in the rice cooker.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what is so interesting though for me is that I really got into this. I had a real Martha Stewart phase when I was like in my mid-20s. I honestly really don't know where it came about. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was influenced from my roommate at the time, who was a little bit more homemakery
Mm.
than I. And so I think I just was like interested a little bit more, like, oh, fermenting, pickling, things like that. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, that seems cool. And personally, like, I love hosting. I saw my mom do it growing up. My mom's a great host. We would always host Thanksgivings and Christmas and Easter. And I think when I was figuring out more of my identity and who I was, I felt like I put a lot of value in having that as a skill.
Sure.
And so I really did get into like this, I don't even know, like, and I think that's why, and that was around the time when I did see Don't Worry, Darling. And I was like, wow, that'd be so cool if I could just like focus on these skills that I'm really honing in on all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so interesting. Like I was like, I promise you, I had it in my head being like, oh, I have to learn how to make this like pot of lentils or pot of beans so that I can be prepared to like feed my future family.
Right. Sure.
And it really didn't get transformed until like my late 20s. Where then it's now like, oh, this is how like I like nourish myself and like nourish myself for like my long runs and like my heavy weeks of like hardcore training or whatever.
Right.
But up until honestly, like, yeah, like a few years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to know how to make this food correctly, because then I could like feed my family. That's so crazy. It's not crazy.
Mm.
It's not. I think it's a healthy thing, and I don't want to like judge myself for thinking that, because I think it's actually a very sweet sentiment. And at the same time, I'm like, why am I praising a future version of myself that may or may not exist? Like, why can't I just like nourish myself now and cook the meals that I had growing up in the name of being nostalgic or being homesick, or simply just wanting to nourish myself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I did it under this like intense, like, oh my gosh, like I have to know how to cook this so I can, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to cook during the week for my future family? Like that was the urgency upon which I had that expectation for myself. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do that's like that? Like for you feeling like, oh, I have to do this now because that will signal me as a better father or a better man so I can be a better husband or wife or father?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think.
You are truly liberated.
Yeah. I think if there was anything that I ever felt that way about, it was in service of like more in the realm of like attracting a mate than like
Or just
playing
feeling
role of a father.
No, or just feeling like you'd be an adequate, like proving to yourself you can do this thing now so that you could adequately do it in the future. It's kind of like that Reddit post where it's like, how can I want to be the best version of this future version that I'm going to be. So what can I do now to prepare myself for that? Wow, that's gnarly. That's a gnarly thought. Now that I'm like deconstructing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I guess I've always been in the realm of like, that's gonna have to be good enough, I guess, for now. I don't know.
Wow.
I've never really, I say that ironically because I think I'm a person who normally puts lots of
Thought.
or like heavy expectations onto myself as far as like not being good enough in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But to say that like I would then translate that into like a studying of something or skill of something whose only role in my head is for something 15, 20 years from now. I guess I've just always not thought that far ahead because it's just, I don't know. That's just kind of just been the way I've been.
Yeah.
Live life quarter mile at a time. That's probably one of the places where I'm probably more in line with what I would imagine most male population is in that way.
Right.
Of like, though, I think that I'm very much in the category of like golden retriever boyfriend. Sometimes I wonder if it's the brain. Sometimes I wonder if that's just the privilege that you're just kind of instilled with growing up in a world where it's just kind of like, in any ways, it's probably gonna be taken care of anyways. But I don't know.
I feel like this conversation can't really be had without mentioning the amount of women who are in Christian nationalist communities and FLDS, fundamentalist, Latter-day Saints,
Mm-hmm.
Mormon communities, just more religious communities who do identify as tradwives or traditional wives. And they don't know anything else and have a sense that they want something different, but they haven't seen something different. I was watching this interview from CNN, and it was talking about tradwives leaving high control Christian nationalist communities. We'll put the link in the description, but essentially the women were just describing kind of how they grew up in these families where people had like lots of children, like 5, 8, 10 kids. And the daughters were always treated very differently than the sons.
Mm-hmm.
And then they themselves were kind of married to men who kind of had the same expectations as them.
Sure.
And when I was hearing the women speak about their stories, I really do feel for them because, first of all, just the idea of like having the expectation of bearing so many children is really hard on anyone's body.
Right.
I'm not saying that humans weren't necessarily made to do that because it's definitely possible. And at the same time, pregnancy can be dangerous. I do feel for these women as they were describing this experience. And it's really hard because a lot of these people are using religious texts to justify a lot of this lifestyle.
Sure.
Which I understand and also have a hard time understanding.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who has read the same religious text, I have a hard time drawing the same conclusions that they do.
Right.
So I do wonder if it's like personally, if it is just the good old patriarchy at work, like working double time day and night to kind of twist the minds of people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think that part of the conversation is maybe not brought up enough on the people that kind of glorify this sort of lifestyle. I don't think that we're thinking about that when we think about the Nara Smiths. I don't think about like how people are like under in very religious communities kind of kept in this sort of lifestyle without really kind of choosing it.
Right. I mean, and yeah, there in the interview you sent, there would be lots of those stories where it's, like they're thinking about it or whatever, and then you go to the church leader, and then they're the ones that can sort of exert the pressure of like, no, you just need to whatever, bury it down or
right
go back, and this is part of your
duty,
your spiritual
womanly duty.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems
manipulative.
Yeah. There's just this sort of like slap back that's kind of overcorrecting from whatever, I guess, confusion that men have about like what equality means or whatever. But
yeah,
I was reading about a recent survey that Gen Z males are trending more conservative again now.
Yeah.
And so they're now twice as likely as baby boomers, which is wild to my mind. Twice as likely as baby boomers to believe wives should obey their husbands. And so like, I mean, a lot of them are also, I know that there's trends of them also going back to church and into some of these alt-right nationalist churches. And I think, again, all of the stuff that's being sold to them is all packaged together of like, well, if you were just, a Christian nation again, then all of these, I don't know how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, but it's like all of these immigrants wouldn't be stealing your jobs, and these women would be obeying you, and like all of these things would be going your way, and you would be able to like have a family safely and securely and have dominion over your own kingdom, basically, if you just were in this world. And I think it's this idea that's not sound, and it's not really, I don't know how the church has been sort of perverted in such a way other than just through money, and that this would be like such a problem, because it's just, they just know, I guess, that that's the only way they would pull in a certain population, is to lean into these kinds of ideas more. I don't know.
I struggle with this because I on one hand, I'm like, I do believe that these people genuinely believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it's coming from a place of like in the same way that like the Handmaids, it's like, oh, like we can use this to wield. I think some of it is, of course, like a lot of it is like, oh, we have this that can be kind of construed enough to like align with our patriarchal society, and like it keeps men in power. Like we have something that's quote unquote divine that we can use to keep status and power. So I think that there's that like nefarious part, but then I think there is a large part of people that genuinely believe like this is the godly way, which makes me really sad because, as someone who does read a lot of Christian texts and like theology and whatever, and who is practicing, that's really not the vibe.
Right.
Like a lot of real kind of, when you kind of study Christianity, and like Jesus's ministry, like a lot of it is liberation from so many institutions, like all the institutions, and a lot of like structures and systems.
Yeah.
So the more I go deeper into my practice, I am more puzzled by how people are so kind of using this as a way to like oppress women more.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just wonder, like, if these men that are really truly believe that they are doing this for the good of their religion and for the good of their Christianity and their practice, like, if all the other things, if they believe of Christianity are true, do they ever stop to think and like look at their wife and be like, do you want to have this many kids? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you happy? Like, are you feeling fulfilled? Are you feeling like you're growing as a person in yourself and your spirituality and like in your walk of life? Like, are you growing in this role, doing this, being this version of my wife?
Yeah.
Like, how about that?
My instinct is to think both those people in that scenario feel trapped in different ways.
Wow. Yeah.
And the only people that really feel liberated are the people that are able to benefit from that in some way. But I don't know. The thing that always breaks my brain about, just Christian nationalism in particular is, again, sort of what you're saying about how like anti-institutional
Right.
Jesus was in many ways, and how that religion was so radicalized from like everything that came before it. And now it's been so long since the creation of it that it has become this conservatism back towards something again, and so I think those are always the two lenses that like Leo and Francis, like, was like the idea of like, do you take this and evolve it with the times to sort of like push forward and imagine what that would be? Or are we just going to say like, well, it's an amber, everything he said then, and there's no other context to be added to any of this? I don't know. It's
a separate conversation.
Yeah.
But
anyways, as far as it relates to traditional husbands and wives, I feel like there's so little to be gained, I feel like, from trying to hold up whatever these ideas we have about what a traditional thing is, when, I don't know, we're living in the present.
I don't know. I mean, this is where like we reach the end of our personal understandings, because we are not married, or, we are not ourselves in union with other people in that way. But, there is something to be said about like a family unit, and like a lot of the things the stability and fruits that come from a family unit. So that's something to protect. I get it. I guess maybe just with all the changes and all the things that we know now about ourselves, about the science, it's like, okay, but at what cost?
Sure.
And are there better ways of doing it? I would argue, yeah.
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 I mean, they've all been figured out at this point. I mean, that's the way I kind of always think about it, is like every possible arrangement of humans has already been thought of and has already been enacted. And I don't know if, I mean, the solution is already out there. I just think that, for a lot of people, it's just a different solution for each person, and they don't know. You're not going to know until you just try stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a nice thought. But it requires searching.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of head-heart alignment and work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like, I think most people are afraid to grasp around in the dark for whatever that answer is. So people would rather cling to what, tradition is, because it's easier to hang your hat on than muck around in the dark. But
Then fuck around and find out.
I think we got something there. Thank you for listening. We hope you will hear our beautiful voices again in 2 weeks from now. So
Stay tuned. Stay
Stay
with us.
tuned.
Stay listening. Keep your hearts open.
make us your tradition
Make us your tradition.
and keep listening.
Keep listening.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Our show is made by us, Jesse Rojas and Chris Stold. Our producer is the lovely Marian Rojas. Our composer and mixer extraordinaire is Rosalind Wong, and all of our art is carefully handcrafted by Jacob Bankoff. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us there under @VenusandMarsPod. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.